Is later your favorite time to do things? Do you often find yourself crawling out of the pit of procrastination? Let's conquer this monster and kickstart a new and productive chapter in your life. Join me as we ascend from level 1 to level 5, breaking the barriers of procrastination. Watch till the end, your future self will thank you. So, what is procrastination? In simple terms, it is delaying something that you are supposed to be doing to a later self, so that your future self can do it and you don't want it to be done by your current self. You can call it lazy, or you're being overwhelmed, or you're being burnt out by a lot of work. It could be anything, but you just don't want to do it right now, you want to do it later. You could also define as doing something that's easy right now, but not doing which is necessary and difficult. So let's get to level 1. Level 1 procrastination looks like this. You're in your bed and you don't want to get out. So this is the most lowest form of procrastination. That is, it's morning and you have to get out of your bed and you just don't feel like getting out of bed. You just want to lie there, you have so many things to do. It's just like, I don't want to do it. It's like, I don't feel like doing it. Of course, I've fallen victim to this as well. So the way I try to solve level 1 procrastination is, I identify what causes it. Like either it's because I'm on my phone on the bed and I just don't want to get up. I'm scrolling through Twitter or 9gag or whatever, and I just don't get out of bed. And I've made it a habit to keep my phone away from my bed. I try to at least, and I try to minimize the time I spend on my bed. So even if I do it, okay, I can do it maximum for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and I have to get out. Another thing that I try to use is the 5-second rule. You can find more about it here. So what the 5-second rule is basically, not the 5-second rule, but the 5-second countdown. So I count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then when it's 1, it motivates me to just get out of bed. So it's like, okay, I have 5 more seconds, I just count it down. It makes it much easier. The mental barrier is removed to just get out of bed. So this is the lowest form of procrastination. Let's get to the next one. So now you've conquered the first level. Maybe you got out of bed, all good. Now the next level is when you're on your laptop or wherever and you're supposed to be doing some real work. You're supposed to be working on something, or you're supposed to be studying, and you're distracted and you're either on some social media, you're on Facebook or Google, Twitter, whatever. You're just browsing through random things and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. This is the most common form of procrastination, where you're not doing any work, you're just this thing. And I find myself guilty of doing this a lot as well, randomly browsing YouTube or going through Twitter, etc. What I try to overcome this is I set particular hours in my calendar or in my day that this will be for work and this will be for play, so that I'm not distracted when I'm working. So I can get easily distracted when I'm working, and I don't want to be distracted. So what I do is I close everything else. I put on my headphones, I put some relaxing music that I can focus on my work. And once it's done, I have a allotted slot for whatever I want to do, as either browsing through YouTube or whatever. And this ensures that when I'm working, I'm focused on it, and then I know that okay, when it's done, I have my time to do whatever XYZ, so that I don't procrastinate on my work and I do what is necessary. Another way I try to solve this is I'll have a goal for the day. That is the one thing that needs to be done for the day, and this is the most important task for the day. Either it's work related or home related, whatever it is, like this is one important thing that needs to be done. And once that's done, then I feel better that okay, I've at least done one good thing. Maybe it's a task for an hour or 2 hours or however long it is, but if I identify that one task either in the morning or the previous night and then I do it, I feel much better, and I feel I don't procrastination on this task at least. I mean, you can't always be perfect. Let's get to the next one. So the next level is very similar to the previous one. I'm doing my work, what is required, but I'm doing the unimportant ones which are easy, and I'm not focusing on the important ones which could be hard. So that I feel like I'm doing some work, but I'm not doing important work. So to give a personal example, so suppose I am supposed to be doing XYZ at home, like maybe I need to fix the chair and I don't feel like doing that. So what I would do is, instead of doing that work, I'll be like, oh, I need to clean my desk, so I'll sit and clean my desk, or I need to make the bed, or I need to fix XYZ, rather than doing the one thing which is a bit more difficult but which is very important. It's just I'm fooling myself that so I'm doing some work rather than not doing anything, so I feel happy about it, but in the back of my head I know that that one task needs to be done. This also happens at work where there's an important task, but it requires more effort. There is some friction involved, and I tend to do the easier one and just be happy and content that okay, I have done that, and I procrastinate on the important one. So what I try to do to solve this, it's simple but difficult. I have to do the most difficult task that is at hand. Generally it's the most important one as well, and by doing this I know that I'm not skipping out on the crucial tasks that are required to be done. I'm not procrastinating on them, doing the unimportant tasks. And more often than not, I've also found that the unimportant task, even though I spend few hours on it, they're not necessary in the end of the day. Not all of them are necessary. So at work, maybe there's some analysis required and then some other report to be generated. The report is more important and the analysis is not so important. And I sometimes tend to go into the analysis, deep into it to understand what exactly is going on. But generally, it's not important. And later I found out it was not required at all and I should have focused on that. You can check out in the other video where I discuss this in detail, how it saves me 5 hours per week. Let's get to the next one. I believe the first 3 cover most of the forms of procrastination that we are aware of, and these are an additional levels. So right now we are at level 4, and this, I wouldn't say a lot of people would call it even procrastination, but I would call it procrastination, because if you solve the first 3 levels and then you get to this one, and then how you can improve further. So this at level 4, this procrastination looks like this. Maybe you are doing the important thing. You got out of your bed, you're doing your task, you're doing the important task, but now maybe you're not doing it efficiently. So I found myself more than once that I'm doing a task inefficiently. And if I can spend a little bit of time, I can find out a way where I can do it much more efficiently than I'm doing in the current way. So let me give you a very simple example. So suppose you are in Excel. So you have your cells, for example. You have the number 1 and 2, and then you need from number 1 to all the way to 10. So how would you generally do it? You would select the first 2 rows and then click on the corner and then just drag it down. So I hope most of you are aware of it, and if you're not aware of it, it's a good thing to learn. And this is an optimization where you have saved a lot of time by not typing out 1, 2, 3 all the way to 10. Suppose it's 100, it's almost impossible. You spend a lot of time just typing it out, and you learned a way to do it because there's a system to do it. For a person who doesn't know this, they are typing out 1, 2, 3 all the way to 10, and you go and tell them why are you doing this way. Like, you could just type the first 2 numbers and then just drag it and it'll autofill, and then they could come back saying, I don't want to learn the process, I can just type it out, it's so easy. This is a very simple example where it's obvious that learning the system which can improve your, you can optimize your task, can lead to you saving time and being better at whatever you're doing, saving more time, more efficient. And procrastinating on learning this optimization is leading us to not be our most efficient self while doing any work. This is a simple example, but there could be complicated things where you're not learning that optimization. I'm guilty. Sometimes I feel like, why should I learn a system to do this? Like, I'll just do the whole thing again. It'll take me, suppose the task takes me 5 hours to do, and if I try to optimize it, and it could take 4 hours or even 3 hours, but the system to learn this might take around 10 hours. So why should I spend the 10 hours to learn the system which will save me only 1 hour? But if the task is repeated enough times, it will save much more than 10 hours. I procrastinate on learning the optimization and doing the whole task again. I'm just, I feel lazy to learn the system it is. So this is the 4th level of procrastination. To solve this is very simple. So find systems or optimization in your current tasks which can help you save even majority of the time. Whatever, if it's taking you 2 hours, maybe it can take you 1 hour or even less than that. There are optimizations which I was not aware of, which I would spend around 2 hours, and then I find out it can be done using 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever. Like with the advent of AI, it's so common that I find something which can be done like in a few minutes, which would take me hours to find elsewhere. It's very important that we don't procrastinate on learning these things and implementing in our day-to-day lives. Let's get to the next one. So if you made it this far into the video, a cheeky like would be very helpful. It really does help. So let's get to the next one, that is level 5. So level 5 of procrastination, again, some people would not even call it procrastination, but I would put it, a higher level of procrastination. So what it is procrastinating on your long-term goals. So we have our day-to-day tasks that we do, we need to get this done, X, Y, Z. But sometimes we might lose sight of the big picture. That is, what do you want to do in 5 years? What do you want to do in 10 years? What do you want to do in 20 years even? And focusing on the short term is always good, doing your things, etc. But procrastinating on, not planning for the long term. So what do you want to do? Where do you want to be after 4 years or 5 years? Thinking about it constantly. Am I doing the things that I want to, that will lead me to what I'll be in 5 years, or something like this. So we are all guilty of this. Even I'm guilty of this, that I don't think, long term. I know it's important. It's important to, figure your life out. Where do you want to be in the, 5 years, 10 years down the line? But we procrastinate on it, and we just, let the wind take us wherever we want to, wherever it leads us. And it's important to think about this. So our day-to-day tasks, although are important, but if they're not in the right direction where we want to lead our life to be, it's not fruitful at all. I mean, it is helpful to, focus on your task, do it, because else life would be meaningless. Planning for the long term is also important. Like thinking constantly about, is this taking me where I want to be in the long term? And is this helping me out in the long term? Is also important. Planning your life ahead, not procrastinating on, the planning aspect of life is very important. And I'm very guilty of this, that, I don't plan in the very long term. And it's difficult, it's not easy to plan for the long term as well, because there are so many variables involved, and I just, call it quits. But I feel there needs to be a sense of direction for the long term. Else we're just, going in the, like, it's as if we are on a boat and the wind is just taking us wherever. To recap, the 5 levels of procrastination. Level 1 is when you're not even able to get out of the bed, and just getting out of the bed is a victory. Level 2 is just doing the work rather than not doing the work. Whatever it is, it's studying, your daytime job, whatever. It's just doing the work. Level 3 is doing the important work rather than the unimportant work, which might be easier in most cases. Level 4 is skipping out on optimizing the task and just doing the task, and you wanna, get done with it. And level 5 is not focusing on the long term, that is procrastinating on planning your life for the long term and just focusing on the short term. So I have a level 6 as well when I was making this video, and I was thinking, like, that's not the end of it. So level 6 is basically, are you, living a life worthy that you die tomorrow, and this is your legacy? Are you happy with it? If not tomorrow, it could happen 50 years from now, 100 years from now, whenever. Generally what happens is life gets so busy that we don't think about our death, and death is inevitable. It will come to all of us, and to plan for it, to prepare for it, like, are we living an honest life, a life where we help others out, where we are, doing what's our duty, where we are thankful to the one above, the one who created us. We get busy with our day-to-day life, and we, it goes down. I'm also guilty of this, and I feel like this is if not the most, one of the most important things that you should be thinking about and not procrastinating on. I'm guilty of sometimes feeling like, oh, I have 50 years to live, I have, whatever, I have 100 years to live, and I can do it in that time. And then and things happen, and it's 10 years later, and then you still have not, done what you have to do. A bonus one I added, you might not call it procrastination, but in my books, it is procrastinating on doing something. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you agree with these 5 levels? Do you have another level, or do you disagree and there are lower numbers? So I've made another video where I also discuss another strategy that I use to overcome procrastination. You can find it over here. Thank you. Bye-bye.